Hey, thank you for joining me for the Lead with Love podcast. My name is Delnita Smith, and I want to share with you all about our upcoming Lead with Love couples retreat that's happening here in Nashville, Tennessee, July 18th and 19th. We have some amazing speakers and workshops. It will be an amazing weekend for you and your honey. We have Doctors Daryl and Piangela Jones, who will be our keynote speakers for the formal gala. We have Mr. Marcus and Tina Wilson, who will be talking about covenant and connection. We have the Bargies, Terry and Carrie, who will be talking to us about fitness and taking care of our bodies and how that impacts our marriages. We also have Miss Crystal Martin, who is our financial life coach, who will be getting us straight financially. And we have Miss Simona Kendrick. You will love this session. She is our licensed massage therapist who will be teaching us a couples massage series on one another. We also have Mr. Will Davenport, who is our entertainment for the formal gala. So come on out to the Lead with Love couples retreat. Covenant and connection is the theme for this year, and it is going to be so fire. You don't want to miss it. It's happening here again in Nashville, Tennessee. You can go to leadwithloveretreat.net to register. And until June 15th, you can register for $75 off with the code LOVE2025. So we are looking forward to seeing you there. Lead with Love. So today we have our a couple who is near and dear to my heart. They are a part of our core team. And I would like to welcome in Mr. Ladré and Miss Parthenia Fayne.
Hello.
Hey. I'm so glad y'all are here with me tonight. I need the smiles and the laughter that I know we'll get across this screen.
We're so glad to be here.
We are.
So, like I said, Parthenia and Ladré are amazing to me, and they are part of our core team. We are so blessed to have them. So let's start here. 26 years of marriage, that's a whole legacy. So how does it feel to say that out loud? And what do you think has been the real glue behind it?
It feels exciting. And it also makes me feel a little old. But it feels wonderful to be able to say that you've come over those humps. When you get to the big 25, that's a big deal. And then after that, it's like, whoa, 26 years. But the glue, if we had anything, I would say is what we can go back to is how we get along with each other. We just kind of have a bit of a rapport. Yes, we are Christ-centered for sure. Jesus is the center of our joy. But we also love and like each other. So when it really kind of gets a little marriage high, maybe, or some things start to happen, one thing that we can come back to is the fact that we have a rapport, that we have some laughter, some fun times, some things that we can always get back to, because I actually really, really like this guy.
I would say that's a plus, Ladré.
That is definitely a plus that she likes me. I'm glad she likes me. I think one of the things that, as you said, the glue has to be that life is to be lived, and laughter is really a key component. I just remember, I just think that we laugh quite a bit. We do things quite a bit. We laugh, we joke. And I think that holds everything together, because we can't, life is fun. It's supposed to be fun, regardless of the chaos, the climate, the political climate, whatever's going on. It's still like, man, I'm here. I'm alive. This is another day. I have my wife with me. We're together. We're going into new chapters, new things that we're doing now. So it's that laughter part is really key for us.
And it's also, we see when it's not there. So when it gets rough and kind of coarse, and we look back, and sometimes I fight the laughter because I'm serious and I want to be serious. But when the Lord lets that laughter come back through us and through each of us, it really does lighten the load and help us keep going.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. And I was going to say too, Parthenia, when you said it makes you feel old, to say out loud, we've been married for 26 years. But I think there is just a richness there, because what that says to me is that in those 26 years, you've had a lot of opportunities to grow together, to experience some things in life, and to go through some things that build character and build your light for one another.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it doesn't sound like old to me. It sounds like richness. I love it. So before you got married, what was your definition of love, and how has that definition matured after 2.5 decades?
I got that one.
Okay.
What was the definition of love was always feeling fantastic,
Mhm.
everything working out perfectly and beautifully. I mentioned this before. I kind of came into the world wanting to get married. I don't remember a time I didn't want to be married. And I just imagine it being just um, the most beautiful, and especially like in the Lord. I'm like, we're in the Lord. It's going to be perfect. We're going to play off each other. We're going to agree all the time. We're going to hold hands and love each other all the time is what I felt like was going to happen. We were going to be just, I guess, what the storybook romance that we expect to happen. That's what I really thought what it was going to be. And then what
I
was
love
it actually?
the
What
part,
is it like?
part of the question is, how has that definition matured? Not changed, but how's it matured after
Ah.
2.5 decades?
I guess it's probably like anybody who needs to grow up and see life as it really is. First, I got really daunted and I just thought, man, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And we've got these fantastic couples that we go to and talk to about it. And I felt like I had done everything right to lead up so that it would be this little perfect storybook romance, and it was just not. And so there was a season of time where I was just unhappy and pouting and not pleasant and blaming the Lord and him for everything I could think of why it wasn't happy. And then over time, because we have people in our lives that say, ma'am, I'm gonna need you to get your life right in different ways. Over time, the maturity is it. He's not my happiness. I have to learn how to be who I am and live my life as I am. It is a form of strengthening each other. And so that is definitely a mature thing where it's like love is patient and love is kind. Love is not just what you want all the time. It is truly patient. So that patience comes, you can't be patient in a situation where everything's fantastic. Doesn't call for patience. And so the maturity part is really understanding God's version of our union, that we represent him, it's more than just my feelings here on this earth, those happy feelings. So that's part of my maturity, is just learning how to live a life and what that feels like emotionally, because I can pray and do all of other things, but to be able to honor the emotions and put that on the altar and let God work through me, so that we can be the example that God would have daily, the first year up to the 26th year. But that's where I am. Where are you?
Um, let's see. The storybook thing, I don't, honestly, I was just like, I think coming into this, I don't want to get married right away. I wanted to be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll get married later, like after 35, 36, 37. And, then I met her, this young lady. I met her at TSU. And so it was a different story because I was already at TSU. So let's get on. I was already at TSU. I was at Fisk. I was at Vanderbilt. So, I will tell you this is a funny story. Funny story is, before I met her, I used to be in the gospel choir at TSU. And I will tell you that I couldn't even go to rehearsal because she had joined the choir and there was somebody else in the choir that I was talking to. So my idea of love was skewed. I'm just like, one option. That's all I got. Nah, that wasn't me. But she came along, and at that moment in time at TSU, I knew that I could not treat her. I did not know fully why, but I could not approach her. I could not talk to her. I could not treat her in the same manner. So instead of dishonoring her, said, let me step back. Let me not, go this way. And so it's so funny how God brings that back around. And you see now today from that to 26 years, and how is it matured? It's matured by the fact that marriage can be an amazing story. Everybody wants a story book marriage. Well, yeah, you can have a story, but it's going to be your story book. It's a story that has to be lived out. Marriage is amazing, but it's work. And love is always a choice.
Mhm.
Even in the hard times, even when she didn't want to be around me, pretty much the time that she felt like I don't think I was giving her the support that she probably needed at that time. I had to grow and mature in that as well. And that takes counsel. That takes surrounding yourselves. We were never without couples, seasoned couples, not just any couples. We want couples who can pound the pavement and call us to the carpet. And we're good with that because we see the fruit of your marriage.
Mhm.
So in that helped us to mature having that, because the Bible is clear. In the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And that safety net helped us to get to year 26. So
Yes. That makes so much sense. And that is wisdom, having wise counsel around you and being willing to humble yourself, especially as a man, because we as women, we can be quick to say, "Oh girl, I need your help with this," or, I'm
Mhm.
this or this is going on. But sometimes for a man, it's not always as easy to do that. And so love can require you, and marriage can require you to relinquish some of that pride and that macho and that ego to say, this is truly what I want and truly what I want to work. And I want it to make it to that 26 years or,
right,
50 years and beyond. So that
right.
is awesome. And I just hats off to you guys for making sure you kept wise counsel in your corner. That's a blessing. So, Ladrina,
Amen. Okay.
about your wife today? Is she the same woman you married, or has she become someone even more?
Let me think.
Leading question.
Mm, let's see. Um, she's become more. She's authentically become more than what I thought. I knew what I was getting initially, but what I got 26 years later was even more of a blessing. Something you can't just really, it can't be foretold. You don't know. Marriage, when you walk into marriage, you just like, you have to understand it's a meshing of histories. you
Mhm.
know, her history, my history, how we grew up, how our parents, what their marriage looks like, what their uncles and aunts. It's all. And so when you look at that, you feel like it's a daunting task because you look at them, they're together for like 30, 40, 50 years. And you're like, whoa, okay, we're just at year 10. Okay, how's that going to be? But in each year, with each of the past 2 decades of the past, she's become more to me than I can really express, because I've seen her at work as a mother. I've seen her at work as a wife. I've seen her juggle young kids, a household. I've seen her juggle high school kids, working, and a business, successful business. So it's more. So I know that I can count on her for pretty much anything. That my back is taken care of. I don't have to look around, look back. If she's right there, she has my back. I'm never worried about that. So that part, coming into marriage, you don't see that, but 26 years later, I see it even more. So,
That's a beautiful thing. That is look.
hey, stop it. Okay.
So when you look back at your younger selves, though, have you lived the dreams you once spoke about, or did married life shift the vision?
Oh, for sure. It shifted the vision. Um, Partly because I mean, my dream, like I said, was marriage. And so then I had to broaden that and find out some things. I didn't really know Parthenia very much at all. I didn't come in as that woman that we talk about now and strong and all those things like that. I didn't have that life experience. I mean, I went from the dorm to living with my sister and as roommates and then getting married. And that was the path I wanted. And it wasn't until I don't know, after we had kids and I started realizing, is this it? Like, is this it for me? Like right here, hearing these kids all day, every day. Is that what we do? Because I homeschooled. I said, oh, we got anything else? And that's when the dreams started happening. And so I started realizing that there could be something else. So they're not fulfilled, but what has happened is I'm awakened to more of them now. And the thing now is to be encouraged that I'm not too old and that there are things that I still can do. So, and that was a little rocky road because, I say all the time, we were the Flintstones. I was Wilma and he's Fred. Basically, that's it. You in the house, that's all you're doing. And that was my initial desire. So that was my dream until some other things opened up. And so now that other things have opened up in my mind and my heart, some of those dreams have been fulfilled in the sense of having a happy marriage, beautiful kids. I love my family. I'm a family girl. I love watching movies together, hanging out as a family. I love that. So we have that. But then also some other dreams that after we got over that road of recognizing what we wanted and now it's looking different and what are we going to do with that, once we got around that, it was like, oh, Parthenia, you want to do something else, go ahead. And so he learned how to support. We each learned how to do something different than the original dream of just getting married. So yes, some met and then definitely more to go. So in a sense, marriage did bump it a little bit, but we have broader views now.
Okay. How about you, Dre?
For a husband, coming into this, you want her to have everything. You want her to you want to be Prince Charles, and she is Princess Diana. Not the one that I don't want to be alive and well, all of that. But you want those things for her. You want everything for her. So what do you want to pursue? And my drive was always the pursuit of making sure she was able to do what she wanted, even if it meant the neglect of some of the things you do or you wanted to do. Because guess what? You have to, when you talk about loving your bride as Christ loved the church, that's sacrificial. That's selfless, even unto to death. And not necessarily natural death, but death to self, death to the things you may want to desire at that point in time to make sure she gets everything. And when you talk about those dreams, you realize there's not really a timestamp on them. There may be a delay, kids come, life happens. You have kids, they have to go, their needs as a husband, all of that comes first. You have to make sure that they're taken care of. You have to make sure that what they need is taken care of. And God is a redeemer. So now we're looking at this next chapter, a new move, and other chapters where we get to travel more, do things we want to do. It's good. God is taking care of everything else. Our kids went to school on full rides. So there was no money, there's no loans, there's no debt. We get to see them established, debt-free, financially savvy. And, it was later that we learned more financially. We made some mistakes financially. We did. So some of that stuff is you just have to learn and grow, and that's why we do love our Crystal Martin. She's always been one of the counselors that's us, and that's how and now we're looking at things like, oh, we're this age, like maybe, no, and when you actually step outside of the comparison issue, because everybody, you look at, you see Instagram, you see Facebook, man, they going again? God, they make the same amount of money. How are they?
When they really don't.
No, they really don't. That picture was from last year. They went last year, 2 or 5 years ago. They went last year. But you here all wrought up because, oh my God, they went back to Paris again. And that was 3 years ago they went to Paris. They posted those same pictures, but you didn't realize that.
Right.
When you don't get caught up in that comparison game and follow the path that God has for your provision, your prosperity, your abundance, your life, man, it works out. And like I said, he's a redeemer, and we fully see that now more than ever.
Yeah. And that's truly where the joy is following your path, following the path that God has laid before you and not allowing that thief comparison to creep in because you feel like, what's missing from my marriage? Or man, I couldn't take my wife to do all this. We didn't travel 3 times this year you know what I mean? And so just realizing that that's them. And really what you see may not even be what's really real, or it may
Right.
not be your perception of it is. Let me say that. It may not be what you've perceived it to be. So you have to focus in right here on each other, you
Right.
know, like you said, following the path that God has for you and enjoying that, finding the joy in that. I love it. I love it. So do you ever feel like one of you sacrificed more than the other to keep the marriage going? And has that been a conversation between you two?
Oh, for sure. And this is another humility moment. Oh,
We are
absolutely.
both-
She has, I mean, man, I can't even begin to explain how much she's sacrificed, you
Yeah.
know, for us, for our marriage. And I'm just being honest. I can't say I know for a fact. I can look at. I don't even have to think about that much. The majority of the sacrifice, even more so the sacrifice, has been the things that she's done. She's made to make sure everything is up and running. Managing this, overseeing this, that, and the other. While I'm working hard, working real hard. That still doesn't compare to what she did in raising our kids. That doesn't compare to what she did in being a wonderful and amazing wife. Taking care of the home, managing that. And you talk about that, but I remember a while ago, years ago, um, a guy, Mark Sharona, he said one of the highest callings of in life for a woman is to be a wife and a mom. And I was like, wow. He said the society looks down on that because it's I'm every woman kind of mentality or a feminism movement. Not saying that, and we're not talking about that they can or cannot do it. He stated clearly that God's based upon the word, the highest calling. Look at Proverbs 31. The highest calling is a woman she's called blessed by her family. She's a blessing to her family. She takes care of business. And if we look at Proverbs 31, that whole process, look at what it says. She goes into the market. Doesn't say she has her own business. She sells linen in the marketplace, meaning she schedules her time to sell it. She brings stuff into the house. She brings blessings into the house. Her husband and her children call her blessed because she's there. She's making those sacrifices. And so I can honestly say, yeah, yep. I ain't got nothing to say on that one. I'm done. Yep.
Ditto, ditto. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I did, of course, because I think naturally, if you decide to have children, that's already a sacrifice. Like even if I had gone back to work sooner, there's always that question of who's doing what to make sure because your life completely changes when you have children, and it's a gift. It's a wonderful thing. I love it, but somebody has to step back a little bit or more. So that's that. But I think one of the keys is you got to sacrifice in life. So since we are an example of what it should be for Christ and the church, human beings have to sacrifice. I mean, you got to sacrifice, period, to get where you want to go. Are you going to pout through that sacrifice? And so it was a challenge in learning. That's that part of me learning who I am and what God called me to. And so I didn't come from that. We talked about our histories coming together. I didn't come from a mom who really got out and did a lot of work outside. I found out later she wanted to. I found out later she pined for that. That was something she missed out on through her own, even her notes. She's not with us anymore, but her notes in her Bible and things like that, I found out. So that being said, there's a natural sacrifice that has to happen, period. And I think largely, women got to do a lot of it because we're the ones having the babies. But how are we behaving in that sacrifice? So as much as yes, I would say me, but how are we handling that? So when I look in the mirror, when I look at how I'm processing that, am I pouting my way through? Or am I handling that like I do have a God who sees me and cares for me and guides me through? So
That's right. Right. And I always say that those are two of the most selfless acts is being a mom, being a wife.
mm-hmm.
You do. You sacrifice a lot, but it's like this is what I signed up for.
Right.
So let me be joyful, grateful to God, and happy to do it. So do you believe laughter has saved your marriage in seasons where love felt low? how has humor become a survival tool for you both?
Absolutely. Man, I can't even tell you how many times we're in the bed and we're like, something happened. She'll show me something. She'll show me something funny or send me something, and I just start laughing. And then the next thing you know, it's on to the next. We start looking at other stuff, or we start thinking about stuff that happened. It's such a key component of who we are. It's a key component for our marriage. That might not be the thing for everybody else's marriage, but for us, man, we can laugh at so much. And even in those times where the love was low, and a lot of those times I can point to myself for that, and I realize in that even laughter saving is a saving grace in some sorts. Laughter is always, it doesn't always work when love is low. You have to realize in this point in time, there's something else that needs to occur outside of laugh. Yeah, I'm glad you laughed at the joke. I'm glad that was funny. But what is it as a husband that I'm doing that the love has gotten this low? What am I not doing? Especially I just remember a time when she was home with the kids. She had the kids, I would come home from work, and just kind of like not really be the most loving or the most kind. The world had, the world and life and work had already just kind of like hammered you. You got to get this A, B, C, D and done. And the thing about it is it's frustrating because that I got to take care of this. I can't lose this job because a lot of stuff rides on this. Healthcare, paying the bills, this, that, and the other. And so you come home tired and not realizing that she's worked harder than you. You sat in a chair, you called a few people, you made a few sales. That's it. But you come home to a wife that has toddlers, you know, at home, cooking dinner, making sure everything is good, taking care of them. And toddlers don't care anything about any of that stuff. They don't care that you put everything in the toy pen and got it. They're gonna go right in and get everything. And I had to understand and grow to how to see that, because that was a point when love was kind of low, because children do take up attention. I love to see my baby girl. I love to see my son when they were little, but at the same time, that same love needed to be portrayed to your wife and given to your wife. And that wasn't always the case. So, in those times, laughter wasn't a saving grace. You have to realize, okay, something else is needed. So where do we go? And that's why leaning on, the sound counsel God gave us, and with those couples, that's how we grew through that, and then the laughter became, the laughter again. So
That's a valid point. Even when he was talking, I think you already hit on what I was thinking. Like, we are, I think we're funny. I think he's funny. We had a couple when I was long time ago, and he looked at me. I was laughing at my husband. He looked at me. He said, "You really think your husband is funny, don't you?" I said, "I really do." So there is that. But then, yes, there were some dark moments of sadness, of just kind of like that, the disappointment of what you thought life would be or what you thought it would be. And so in those moments, I'm not laughing. It's not funny. And as a matter of fact, if you try to make me laugh, I might hit you upside your head. Don't go there. So, but that's also biblical, because our walk won't have that. There's joy means everything from calm. It's like there's a hilarity and there's a calm delight. So there's a contentment where you can know, I believe and hope that everything's going to work out, and I believe that. But then there's the laughter and all the guffawing and all that. So in those moments, no, not necessarily laughter, a lot of tears. But when you can look back on that and look at God's faithfulness, I even think about when somebody passes away in your life, it's one of them, especially the closer the person is, that's the most gut wrenching, like, especially a parent, like it's horrible. There's a pain you don't know, like that pain. But then right at that moment, you have the service and somebody says something funny, and you get to laughing. And then you go eat dinner afterwards and you get to laughing. So that is what laughter is like in those dark times where I'm hurting tremendously. I don't even know if I see for sure how I got here, why we're here, if it's going to work out, is the sun going to shine again? But that the laughter, when it comes, it's that laughter in pain. So yes, thankfully we've had that as well. The calm delight to the extreme hilarity.
That's so tell me, what would you guys say to a young couple who is in that place right now? or even a little more seasoned couple, but it's in a place where they're having to go through phases of life that may present darkness or challenges with love being on a high.
Mhm.
How would you encourage them? What would you say to encourage them to just keep pushing, to keep loving each other, and to just keep being intentional about being there for one another, and just staying the course?
God has not forgotten you. And so the things that people said to me, um, I remember even one time she saw it on my face. I was so annoyed. I could say the name, you know what I'm talking about. And so she looked at me and she said, "You can make it. You can do it." And it was annoying to me. And and they had been married 50 plus years. And I was just wanted to be like, "But you don't know." And so she was like, "You got it." She had said it with such a certainty, like, "I've been through that. You can get through it too." And so anytime somebody has said something to me like that, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And just like anything difficult you're going through, it is. Thanks.
Mhm.
I'm so happy now. Yes, you won't have that, but you will have that little glimmer of hope that says, today I won't give up. Today I'll go to bed tonight. I'll wake up one more time and give it another chance and not walk out the door and be like, you know, and that's what I would say is it can get better. There's some things that will never get better without the investment of your time, your work, your change. God is much more massive than that moment. That moment is just a bleep. As painful as it is, God sees you. He has not forgotten you, and he's much bigger than that moment. As painful as it is, he's got a history of helping and loving, and he's got a future of knowing that God will help and love, and he's going to help. He is, he was, and he will be. So as painful as it is right now, as annoying, as dark, as much as you want to give up, the Bible also says that your brotherhood share that same experience. And so we share that. We haven't been through what everybody else would have been through, but enough to say, God sees you, he cares for you, and he will guide you through. It may not be better tomorrow, but he's given you what he needs in Christ in you. And if you don't have Christ in you, that's the next step, but Christ will help you through that, but it'll be step by step. And when you come to the other side, you'll be better. And hopefully even at a point where you're not as worried about the other person being better. Like God is fixing you, and then you get on to that next season. Priscilla Shire said to all the people out there, she says, right now, everybody in here just got through going through something. You're in something now, or you're going to go through something soon. So she's like, so that's everybody's boat. So it's going to get better. Invest and stay. It's worth it. Just like anything difficult in your life is worth it.
Agreed. Investment is the key word. And the thing about it is, marriage is an investment, and in that investment, you have to invest in yourselves. But you need to take a look at people. It's always good to have that. David had Jonathan. He had a special friend. That friend, you need those friends in your marriage. Find couples who you admire. Find couples who live that thing out, truly, authentically, genuinely live it out. Not a show for Sunday morning, but you see them living it out daily. Find them, invest in them. So that you take them out to dinner, talk to them, and let them pour into you. That's one of the things. That's how you get through that. Because, you're gonna have those times. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and you have to keep going. The train doesn't stop in the middle of the tunnel. It keeps going. Because they know at the other end, this darkness will be over soon. We're almost at the end of this tunnel. So I would say invest. Find those couples. Find that seasoned counsel and wisdom, married couples, and invest in them. Take them out to dinner, sow a seed, and listen to what they have to say.
That's a good thing.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
How awesome. We want to invite you again to join us for Covenant and Connection, our Lead with Love couples retreat that's happening here in Nashville, Tennessee, July 18th and 19th. Go to leadwithloveretreat.net to register and enter code LOVE 2025 to receive a special rate for the retreat, and that's only until June 15th. So we hope to see you there. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And always remember to lead with love. Parthenia and Ladré, thank you so much for joining us. This was so rich, so good.
You are welcome. We're
Thank
so happy to
you.
do it.
So happy to do it.
It's an amazing night, and we will see you all the next time.
Real love, real faith, real talk. Lead with Love, the podcast where I and my husband, Champion Smith, dive into God's design for relationships. Honest conversations to help couples and singles grow in love and faith. Subscribe now and lead with love.